This is the
usually...
thing. This is why we shouldn't drink too much beer before we start.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we usually do a clap so we can sing the cameras.
Yeah. We're going to do all together.
We do this separately. So you do one? Okay, yeah.
Gorgeous. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Unsigned Berlin. This is episode 19, and today we have the wonderful Irini with her debut single, She Sings. So, yeah, super excited to have you.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And then we're going to do a little snippet, shall we?
Yeah, start off with a snippet.
Don't hear her, but no one's listening. In Hall's Gate, this woman's fate in lullabies that sound like cries. Lost her name vagrantly. She lost her face, no identity. Ignore her lane for your own sake and cringe with her.
And that was She Sings by Irini. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just starting off talking about the song, it's very heavy, like, topic-wise. Why did you choose to focus on the topic of unhoused people, is the term? Street, people who live on the street?
I've always wanted to kind of connect music with sociological thoughts that I have, like, regarding anything that's socially critical. And moving to Berlin, I guess, one of the first things that I noticed is poverty and the extreme two sides that you have, like a polarization in society in so many ways, but especially the visible one. Like every day on my way to uni, I would pass this street, which is called Hallisches Tor, a station basically. And there was a woman always singing, and she sings so beautifully. And I was always like, damn, I want to listen. And so sometimes I would actually just listen, give her money, do what I could at the time. And every time I left the spot where she was sitting at, I would think about her and about the way she just is and the way she sounds. And then I would write lyrics. And then in the end, it was my first assessment actually for BIM, was this song. It was horribly produced. And then I was like, I think this is great because that's exactly my start into this career. And it's also what goes through my mind when I write lyrics. Our humans, I guess, is a collective also in the form of a society, because we do live in a society. And I thought this is a pretty beautiful message, especially for Berliners. And so I decided on this topic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I like that it's a really personal thing as well. It's not like obviously it's a big social issue, but it's not like the view into it isn't an overarching, like, oh, look at this massive problem. It's a very, like, intimate idea, I feel like.
I guess, like, that's a really good point, because I would pass by her and she would sing, and she would sing so perfectly. And I was like, is this really not enough to sing so well and get by? Because it's not. It's obviously not. You need to have resources. You need to come from a good household, have support, which most of the people don't do. And she doesn't seem to care about that. She just wants to sing. And I think there's nothing more actually inspiring when you're a singer than seeing that in front of you. And I guess, that gave me this whole inspiration and idea.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So, and speaking of writing for the collective, you had to produce this song, Tomasz from the Kuma Collective. What made you choose him for such a personal song and such a, heartfelt?
Well, Tom and I were good friends from the start. Like, we met on basically the first day. And we were already working together on something. And I showed him that song because I was kind of proud of my first production, which, again, was really bad. But he was like, oh, I like this a lot. And then he listened again. He was like, I like this a lot. I want to produce this. And so I was surprised because I never thought I would actually bring out a song. Like, for some reason, I never thought I'd be actually a singer who releases songs. And then when he said that, I was like, oh, I could do that, actually. And then we started with an idea until we actually sat down to do it. It took a while. And we had to basically reconstruct a lot of the song because it was very different in the start. And you can now hear also it's super experimental. The piano was very different in the beginning. It's very minimalistic now. And he and I worked a lot on it, but he especially did a lot on the drums, the beat. And I chose him based on the work that I heard of him and based on the fact that I knew he understands the topic and he appreciates my lyrics. And that's awesome. And he's really good at what he does.
Yeah. Did you play the piano on it, or was it him?
No, it was actually me, and
Nice.
most of it we did re-record. We did also add new melodies, but we stayed in the same key. Like the composition itself stayed, and that was the main idea of the song. Although when we started writing it, we kind of took away everything, and then Tom was like, "Wait, no, we took out the soul. I think we should add it back on, and even more stripped down in the beginning, everything. So it's just vocals, and we play around with your vocals." And I was like, "Sure." And then we wrote harmonies together, and it was awesome. We went like so quickly.
I think that
really
really
great.
worked as
Thank
the
you.
song. I think it introduces the song really well. But I want to ask about something you said earlier, that you never imagined you would be a singer who released songs. Is that actually true? Did you really never think you would be releasing stuff? You would just be more of a giggy musician, or how did that thought come up?
I think most people don't really understand how insecure others are, and that's the case with me. Is I never considered myself actually a good singer or anything. I thought maybe I could do it with songwriting because I love it, but I would never think of myself highly enough to be part of the music industry. And then I realized, why though? I mean, I have it, and if someone likes it, they could listen to it, and if not, then not. And that's, I guess, where it started. But in the beginning, I actually came to Berlin, and I was like, sure, I'm going to be a songwriter for perhaps other singers, and maybe a background vocalist, and I want to be a composer on the piano. But combining all these together gave me kind of the idea that I could be myself and making music, which is way better, obviously. So yeah.
Yeah, I think some of the best music comes from when you kind of put aside that sense of duty for others and maybe put some time into your own vision. So that's really cool that you did that, and here we are.
Thank you. Yeah, here we are.
Nice.
I think, you were kind of doing all the parts that you would need to do, where you were doing the songwriting, you were doing some of the production, you were doing backing vocals, which is comparable. But there are little bits of being an artist that are different, where it's like the branding and the image and having to post stuff on social media and having all this side. How have you found dealing with that? Have you enjoyed planning it, or is it just like a necessary evil?
I think I haven't found it yet, to be honest. I have a really hard time being out there being like, hey guys, this is my new song, listen to it now.
Yeah.
Because it's not that I judge it when others do it, not at all. I think it's awesome and super important. But I guess I don't see myself as someone in the position of doing it. And so I found it very hard. And also making the post and declaring, this is the date my release is going to happen, and that's me. I don't feel comfortable doing that. But I do have to overcome it, which is also why I love being invited today here, because this gives me the opportunity to kind of talk more and show people that I am trying a bit, but I don't know. I get lost in the sauce, I guess.
No, fair. I mean, but I also feel like it's a good thing, because, I mean, obviously it's a muscle, so I think it'll get better. But when you're doing it for the right reasons, I think it's maybe sometimes much harder to do all of the self-promotion stuff, because you just feel like, I'm just doing what I like to do and living this truth every day. So why would I have to be like, go listen to this? I'm just making this because I love it.
Yeah.
So I think that's even more of a testament to,
I think, it's like
the good behind it.
Yeah, it feels like this is when you promote something and when you're a personality that makes music, you have to be consistent and you have to keep on holding that persona, which I barely can hold my personal persona in my life. How can I present another person that makes music of me? Super complex. I think philosophy didn't do me very well in this case, but yeah, I'm trying. I'm here.
Yeah, I think it's also when you have something out and you like it from the viewer perspective, it's easier to promote stuff where you can be excited and be like, oh, this is something I think you'll really like. But before you have anything out, there's sort of this weird, like, you're not 100% confident in it, and you're like, please go check out this thing, and it feels like you're asking for something instead of giving something, if that makes sense.
Definitely, yes. And I mean, we had business class in BIM, and I was like, okay, so now I know there is publishing, there's self-publishing, there are labels, there are indie labels, there's so much, you don't know exactly where to start. That confused me more, but then I got this vague idea that I just want to release this song just to get it off of me, because I've been carrying it ever since I moved to Berlin, and it's been hard to write it. It's been hard working with it and the topic and everything that I did while writing the song. So I just wanted to get it over with, self-publish it, and be my own person for the beginning, and then focus on the more Irini stuff, because this is rather experimental. This is rather, hey, I think I'm actually a musician at this point, and I want you to listen that this is my start. and it's going somewhere, and I think it's quite promising where it's going. So that's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And at some point, it'd be even cooler to cross this threshold of having maybe a small fan base or a larger fan base who really, that feeling of that you're giving them something. You know, like when I hear the new Londare album, I'm like, that feels like she's giving her fans something, you know, which is, I think, a pretty, out there comparison. But, for even small musicians with a really cool fan base that's like very loyal, gosh, what a cool thing to look forward to.
Definitely.
And I think that's super realistic. So, yeah.
I saw you perform a while ago. It must have been 6 months ago, maybe. Like a full. I don't know if a showcase is the right term, but it was like several songs.
Yeah.
Are you also working to get those produced and get them rolling on the way, or is it more like focusing on the songwriting and just the background stuff more?
Well, yeah, the performance was in August of 2022, actually. It's been a long while. But yes, I'm actually almost done with an album that has all these songs in there. And it's a conceptual thing. It's exactly what I meant before when I said something that's more Irini. It's heavily based on complicated piano parts, on the compositional side of me as much as the, I guess, vocal side of me. Very heavy topics as much as very light topics, I guess, a wild mixture of everything. And since it's conceptual, I try to connect all these songs with sounds that are recorded in cities and connect them with, for example, key changes that mellow and smoothly go into each other through the songs. But the complicated plan behind it took a while, I guess, for it to fully lay out in front of me. And now I have it, actually, it's done. But I want to work on the introduction and the outro of the album because they're going to be merely piano. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm working on those ones. Yeah.
Cool.
Doing it as a concept piece, did you go into it from the very beginning being like, this is the concept I want to do? Or were you retroactively being like, I think there's a pattern here that I can turn into something?
That's a really good question, actually. So I'm not that person that's like, I know exactly what I want to do and I'm going to do it like this. Never. I merely have a wish and then it kind of outfolds itself and then it makes sense. And it's the same with those songs. I've collected them since I was 17. Right. And for some reason they fit like in a perfect order next to each other perfectly fine. And so the concept was actually made after I realized that all the songs have something in common, which is that I talk too much. I write too many lyrics. That's also something that a lecturer kept telling me. You write too many lyrics. It's too complicated. And I was like, hell yeah. Yes, that's exactly what I do. Okay. And I love that. Oh, fuck yeah. That's exactly what I do. And I want to embrace that. So the concept is basically no limit to words, which the Greek word is ametroepia. And so the album's going to be called Ametroepia Omega. And it means like from... There's a whole concept, like ametroepia is with A, and then omega is the last, the last, how do you say? Letter, yeah, in the Greek alphabet. So it goes from A to Z, basically. Mm-hmm. And then also the songs are going to be in an order. So it's like subtle things. It's not like, oh, this is about nature. That's the album. It's about words. It's about there not being a limit to words in my head, I guess. Mm-hmm. And that's it. And I guess that answers your question that it just kind of, the concept was always there. I just didn't see it until I pointed it out. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to get a tattoo of that actually on the Trepi. And then I got it. I was like, yeah, that's my album.
And then it's also interesting that you chose to lean into it instead of being like, maybe I should try to reduce this.
I guess that's so funny because in some lectures in BIM actually said to me, less lyrics. And people said, too wordy. And I was like, wait, I need to make this mine. I need to own this because apparently that's special. Apparently, it captures people's attention. So sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like songwriters they're word masters. So it just makes so much sense that that's the thing. Can you talk a little bit about like the cover art for that album, but also maybe the cover art with this new single as well, and the thought behind that? What do you want? You're having your listeners and viewers see it, but what do you want them to see? Well,
the cover art, everything I'm gonna do in my professional life is based on my mom's art because she's an artist, and it's quite interesting. She has this series of paintings, this kind of surreal paintings of women, and she drew them the year I was born, and so she showed them to me when I decided that I want to release music. And then I was like, okay, again, for some reason, everything lines up and makes sense now. I'm going to use that stuff. And the colors also align with the topics, if that makes sense. So the station, for example, where the woman always sings, has these colors, these specific colors. Like it's dark blue, there is a little bit of orange and a lot of yellow. And the painting that is going to be the cover art kind of has the mixture of these specific colors from the stations. And from the one station, I mean. And yeah, for the album, I'm going to use also one of those series. Those artworks. It's pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Super personal.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
she's probably super happy about it as
She
well.
is, yeah. She's also amazing. She's the sweetest. Yeah.
You also have a couple songs in Greek that you've been working on. Is that, how much of that is from growing up with your mother? How much was she showing you Greek music, or was it just something where you were like, oh, I can express something different?
Damn, I mean, yes, my mom definitely showed us a lot of Greek music. Like, we grew up with some very famous names all around us, and then I saw Dalaras live, and that was one of the best moments in my life. That was just 3 years ago. And I guess that was also the moment I decided, I think I'm gonna try and write more in Greek. And the funny thing is, when I write in Greek, like, I sound differently. It feels like more genuine. Not that I'm not genuine when I write in English, but it feels more personal. And it's probably because the language itself, the words have so much emotion. Like one single word, it's like it's taking sometimes the soul out of you just to say it. And that's what I feel when I write Greek songs. And definitely my mom influenced that in many ways. The specific singers that she introduced me to, definitely too.
Yeah. When you say you sound differently, do you mean like acoustically your voice feels more like it has emotion, or that you express your ideas, you formulate your ideas different?
I would say both. But then also, like, for example, the melisma, the way I have a pronunciation of words, or the way I connect notes, like bended in a way, is more intensely when I sing in Greek. It's just a different style, but it's rather interesting because the language has a different tonation to it.
Yeah.
But I love to play around with that, and I love mixing English and Greek. Even though it can be cringe at times, I think I find a good way around it and try to like find the perfect sweet spot between the two languages. So yeah.
And you have a few different musical identities. Like I think you have a band as well.
Yeah.
That's Strawberry Jam.
Yes.
So that's kind of more rocking and like how do you balance that, you know, having all of these musical identities? I think like maybe that's just a side effect of being a young person and trying to figure out what your sound, who you are, what your sound is, but it's just such an amazing different assortment of things.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I mean, you have to imagine, I didn't even think I would actually make my music, and then suddenly I have these different kinds of musics that I make that are so different from one another. So I have no idea how I'm balancing. But I had the biggest luck in the world meeting Nico, Greg, Alexi, and Max. Shout out because like I don't know what happened there, but the way they played, they showed me a side of me that I would have never dreamed of that I can actually have. And I realized that I can have a very strong voice, but I also can sing super light and airy. And if I actually do my techniques correctly, I can also scream, growl, and shout. And you're a woman, you don't do that. I was like, fuck yeah, I do that. I will do that, and I will do it even more so because I heard that, you know, it's just a male thing. If you look into the specific genre of let's say stoner rock or psychedelic rock, it's more men than women. So breaking stereotypes here, it gives me a lot of power singing different genres, definitely.
It seems like these limitations kind of fuel you, especially thinking back to the too many words thing. Like when someone says, what is going on with this? You're just like, okay, I'm going to do it like 10 times more.
Yeah.
So I think that's like really cool fuel for the fire. Like if those are the coals, then, or whatever other energy source, sorry. If that's the energy that's powering the machine. Then
yeah, I mean, I guess it's not like I was like, oh, you don't like it, so I'm going to do it. I mean, definitely, yeah, a small side of me, but the truth is, people pointed out something about me that was special, apparently, and I liked that. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Apparently, it's not very common to sing like that. Apparently, it's not very common to express myself like that. So, sure, that's an opportunity right there. I have nothing to lose. I genuinely have nothing to lose, so let's go. And yeah, that's pretty nice.
I feel like that is one of the best things about starting a creative career, where it's like, if it's bad, who cares? No one's going to notice.
Yeah.
But then with following work after this album is released, then it's more like it has to be a continuation, hopefully an improvement on the last thing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The improvement part is actually a big thing for me right now, because I love She Sings, and this song carries a lot of heaviness and memories and love. But I have grown a lot since the beginning of that song, and my lyricism has gotten not better but deeper in what it was. It's that and even more now. And also my piano playing and everything there has gotten, I don't know, to a different level now, which is great because I have room to grow, and it's always good to have room to go further up, and that's also what I see.
Yeah.
Have you been looking forward already to the next thing following this album that the production stage is almost done?
Yeah, so this album is almost done, as I said, and then there is another one that is almost done, like in the writing process.
Wow.
Which will
Album?
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's a lot.
You're using all the words.
Yes, I use a lot.
Don't run out.
I'm following my own rule,
Yeah.
unlimitedness.
God, that's so great. Because so many people operate, like what helps them creatively is to set limitations for themselves. But everybody's so different that it just seems like for you, that's your way of freedom, you know?
Yeah.
That's super cool.
I think also, I used to think that, I used to have like a pop mindset, like a song is this, and an EP is this, album is this. But now that I listened more to my old vinyls and stuff, I realized that I want the songs to be a big fluid thing. I want it to be a concept. I want there to be actual feelings and actual like expression in it. And I can't really do that if I follow standards that tell me you need to use 4 months of your life for a perfect pop song that follows strict rules. I kind of want to break free from that thought, and that's what I did also with the album. And yeah.
I think also what people don't understand is that these songs are kind of like time capsules, and what you're hearing has been heard by the artist for a long time. So what's fresh to your ears is not fresh to theirs. So you've already, like, in a sense, outgrown a bit of yourself that made this song, and it's just always like you're just trying to catch up, keep up. I mix those two words.
Keep up.
Keep up.
Unlimitedness of words.
Yeah, we have to be free with our word choices.
Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's like frustrating, but also a really cool time capsule. It's just capturing a moment, so
yeah,
it's cool.
Because in the end, like, we always think eventually we're gonna get somewhere and we're gonna stay there, and that's the happy end. But that doesn't really exist. Everything is just a moment. If you try just to capture these moments and then look back, and you can see the collection of those songs, for example, that you have, you can understand yourself more, and you can actually get closer to your own individuality and your subject and who you are, because you understand that you're not just one thing, but you're all these things, and you consist of these moments. And I think for someone like me who has no idea who I am, like struggling with identity so much, this is awesome, capturing these moments, looking back on She Sings and realizing almost over a year has passed, and damn, I still feel the same, but I'm so different now. It's like I'm still that, but more layers onto it. Again, it's awesome. It's sad, but it's awesome. So yeah.
Yeah, you said you were talking about these songs flowing into each other and it being more as like a flowing thing instead of like single song, like, or a bunch of singles in an album or whatever, the sort of Drake technique. I see that definitely reflected in your taste in like in psychedelic rock and stoner rock. Do you feel like that also comes from the other side for the genre that you would put this into, which I guess is ballady? I'm not really sure.
Yeah. You mean if the genres, the two are somehow connected in that thought of... Yeah, definitely. I think also, like, the genre that we do with my band, or with our band, because it's not just mine, but with our band, it's not one genre. That's also something very interesting. We're very fluid also in that sense, that we do a lot of psychedelic Pink Floyd-y kind of stuff, but then it suddenly gets super heavy and Architect vibes out of the blue. Like, I think in that sense, everything is fluid in that. The only thing is that we make music because we love it, and the moment we see that we like it, it already makes sense, and the songs already float into one another. And actually, we do have like a two-parted song, which is called Cathedral Tales, and it has like two sides to it, but they're one piece, like a whole story that goes almost 10 minutes.
A part one, part two type thing.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So we do that there too, and I do that in my songs too. I think it's a mindset. If you do that one time, you do it everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense as well that it, like, it's again a limitation thing where a lot of people will be like, okay, well, I have these 3 minutes to make a song, but then if that's another option that you have in your toolkit to be like, oh well, I could make a 10-minute song and then it's 2 parts or whatever. That's a similar thing with kind of rejecting boundaries for what you're allowed to create.
Yeah, in this landscape, it's like 2-minute songs are the norm sometimes. Sometimes people release 5-minute songs. It's like, it's so free. So yeah, but you have a lot of words, so I think
I have enough words. Yeah,
you have enough.
I have enough. Yeah.
So
both languages as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's really fascinating, the whole 2 languages thing. I know we already talked about that, but it's just really cool. Do you feel like in English you're trying to write more to the sound, or do you feel like you're trying to write more to the sound of words in Greek versus English? Like which, what style of writing? How does that work for you?
I think now that I think about it, I actually think that when I write in English, I appeal more to the people.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize that I'm one individual in a collective. I realize who I am and everyone around me. But when I write in Greek, it's more personal. It's like...
Oh, super.
There is this word in sociology, like your living world. It's the way you see the world, because everyone in the same society might see it completely differently. And I feel like I have the living world view when I speak Greek and when I sing in Greek. But then when I sing in English and when I express myself, it's more like a me-I situation. George Herbert Mead, sociologists know, but I really find it easy to use theories to explain my thought process in languages, because I think that it kind of tickles a different nerve when I sing in Greek, which is way more personal, probably because my parents also speak Greek with me, and it's like it's my mother language, I guess.
It's your cozy language.
It's my cozy language, yes.
Do you think that's partially maybe also because social life here, when you're speaking to other people and you're in that larger society, you're speaking English, and then when you're talking to yourself, you speak Greek? Or maybe it's flipped and you speak English? I don't know. I
like that. I haven't thought of that, but it makes sense. Yes. Like, I guess since most of my social interactions are in English or in German, I don't consider this my very private language. But then when I'm alone, for example, when I count out loud, I do it in Greek immediately. So I guess the inner voice is Greek, yes.
Oh, yeah.
And do you write in German at all?
I'm sorry, I've tried. I have, I cannot. Like, I did for one assessment, I wrote a half English, half German rap song.
Yeah.
It slapped, it was really good. I
produced that. We did that together.
Oh my God, yes. Oh,
yeah.
You know that one. Then you actually know that I wrote this in German.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
That was on the Pastelhis?
No, that was similar time though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we should work on that one. That was really good.
May 2022, I guess.
Yes, it was a year ago.
It's somewhere on here. We can.
It's really it's a really cool experimental song because I tried rapping. Like at this point, I've tried every genre there is.
God,
did you know that I also sing opera?
Oh, that's
like
awesome.
Actually sing opera?
Yes.
Were you classically trained?
Not really.
But just like you...
I trained myself, like I was looking up videos and stuff, but for some reason, like when I was a kid in the car, I would also sing a lot of super high notes and whistle notes without knowing it. Mm-hmm. And so recently I rediscovered that, and with my band I also like embedded these super opera notes in there, and I was like, oh, that's cool, man.
It's an opportunity to write in German.
It's an opera.
Oh boy.
Opportunity? Sorry.
You can delete that.
No, keep it in.
It'll be on Instagram.
That's really cool, though. I mean, like, it's unlimited, with the genres and
the words.
And the words. Yeah, that's like the bit for this episode. But so then, what are your influences for your Irini personal stuff for the album? And I mean, what, like, when you think about the songs that influence, or the artists, bands who influence your stuff, who are they? What type of artists are they?
I think probably I'd have to say, out of all people, probably Rise Against, the band, which is very heavy. It has definitely influenced my role in the band, but more so my personal stuff because of the lyricism, basically, just the way they write. And also Rhapsodos Philologos. He's a Greek rapper.
Oh yeah.
You know him. You know him.
Yeah, I was just listening to him like last week.
But it's super interesting because just the lyricism is what I've been inspired by others. Everything else regarding piano, I guess the way I come up with chords and the way I play and come up with melodies is heavily based on Baroque and Romantic music.
Can tell. Yeah.
Oh, that's
in
cool.
this single, like when they at the first bit where the vocal harmonies drop, and then it's like very keys focused. You can tell it's kind of romantic
That's
inspired.
cool. Yeah, like definitely, because I mean, I used to go to a musical school and I was playing a lot of piano, and at times I didn't want to, but basically I had to. It was part of the school thing. And so like it kind of sticked in my brain because they were super strict on you have to do this now, and you have to do it perfectly. And so I don't know, I never forgot it. And then I started experimenting around what else I could do in the same key without realizing that I was writing in a key. That's also a thing. Like my idea and conception of theory is super all over the place, but it's there and it makes sense and it works for me, and that's great. But yeah, that's how I come up with everything.
Yeah. So you were at a musical school, and then you mentioned a couple of times you studied philosophy or sociology, and then switched to music again. Why? What was the decision making behind the switch both times?
So in Germany there is a system that every high school is based on something. Either it's mathematical or it's about languages, or there's music, among other. And my school was a musical one because when we moved from Greece to Germany, it was the only one that would take me because I played piano for already almost 10 years or whatever it was. So they were like, okay, cool, you're here. I was like, cool, I'm here. It wasn't that cool. But the school was pretty strict. And it made me hate music, actually, because I wasn't really good at it because I had to relearn all of theory that I'd learned in Greek. I had to relearn it in German and different concepts as well because they approach it differently. And so nothing made sense for me. And everyone was already on a different level than me. And that was pretty shit. But then when I was graduating, I was like contemplating, what should I do? I definitely don't want to do music because I know I'm not good enough. That's the feeling I got, is I cannot sing, I cannot play the piano. So why should I try? I would fail anyway. And so my biggest interest has always been society, I guess. I sound so dumb, but like sociology, but like I've been observing a lot. I've been understanding that there is a difference between humans in the same environment. And I wanted to know more about that. And I knew that even if I'm going to do something with music, I first of all want to have this basic knowledge of what the fuck am I doing here and what is everyone else doing with me. And I guess I did it perfectly studying sociology and philosophy because that gave me everything in my life. I don't know what I would be without this. So it was awesome. It was a great time. And in that time, I realized that I gained everything I wanted. Now I know less, but at least I know that I know less. And I don't think that I know everything. Oh, that sounds horrible too, but it's true. And and then the big decision during Corona was, what am I going to do after I'm done with my bachelor? Because you kind of have to have some sort of plan. And the funny thing is, I had heard about BIM, I think, already in high school, but I never sent out my papers because I was like, they're not going to take me, I'm not good enough. Until I was so tired of this thought. I was like, oh my God, Irini, shut up. Just try it. And if they don't take you, they just don't take you. It's fine. So I sent out my papers. My sister had just moved to Berlin. I was like, wouldn't that be awesome? Also, shout out to my sister, the best supporter ever. She's awesome. But I was like, okay, let's see. And they called me the next day and they were like, oh my God, we want you. You're awesome. They said that to everyone. I found out. I thought I was special, but they were so nice to everyone.
I was awesome. They were like, fine.
Yeah, man. I was like, damn, I'm special. No, you're not. And then, no, but I did move here then eventually. And when it started, I realized, okay, I still have some self-doubts, like definitely, but I see that I do fit in here, and I see that I can bring something onto the table because I did study sociology and philosophy. And for me, there is like a perfect meeting point and like maybe a link between these two professions, because music is basically sociology. We communicate through music. We share this as individuals with other people, and music has changed the world in so many ways, and it always does when it's there, when it's like genuine music, when you just play and you forget everything, and you have this rush. That's the basics of sociology. That's how we function as people and what connects us. And that's also still a mystery because there is no theory actually explaining, hey, this is music and nothing else. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to take all of that, everything I learned, and I want to put it into notes. I want to have the chord progressions, the melodies, follow my thought process, which is extremely complicated, but yet so easy and so unstable, I guess. But yeah. That's a connection that there is, because now finally, retrospectively, I see so many connections between everything in my life, more than ever. So yeah.
Do you ever see yourself stepping away from that as a topic in your music and just doing something that means nothing? and just being like, let's just have fun with it and not have a message.
There is never anything that has nothing to do with sociology or philosophy. And
Content-wise.
Content-wise as well. Like, we have some funny songs with my band as well. Like, alone, I guess I wouldn't do that because that's very personal. But we have some funny songs, but even those are heavily based on something that's critical, and that's why it's funny, right? Because the humor that you have also changes. The more you learn, the wiser you get, it changes. It gets more ironically, and it gets more like self-destructive, I guess. But everything is sociology, everything we do. Like, even us just sitting here, that's already some sort of science. And we can already do some research on our behavior and what are we doing here, you know? So I guess for me, it's not possible to step away from it. And that's a good thing because it's a part of me by now.
Yeah.
Yeah, gosh, this is like getting so deep and cool. Something a bit more on the simple side, where does most of your writing live? Is it in notebooks? Is it in phones? Is it in computers? Like, where is it? You know?
Yeah, it's all over the place. Oh my God.
True artist style.
Honestly,
no organization whatsoever.
Even your notes app. I remember from like a year ago when we did that thing. It was in German.
The notes app
so
is
much.
Yes, actually, wait.
Gosh.
I can show you if you want.
A graveyard of lost ideas.
Because I broke my phone last year, and so these are the notes. These are all like big notes, right? And these are all the notes from 1 year, and you can open them. And this is just lyrics.
Oh my goodness.
But that's like what I have on the phone.
But then
but then I have sticky notes.
Oh,
and they do
new.
stick. They do like
a sticky note.
I used to do that a lot. I would put them on my wall, like, or everywhere, basically, to have my lyrics around me because I wanted to be with them to live with me. I still have some of them up, but they at some point, like, I was like, okay, I cannot deal with this everywhere I look. It's too much.
Being bombarded by your own lyrics.
Apparently, there is a limit to my words. and now, like, I have like many, notebooks. Basically, I bought 2 of them, empty books. I was like, I'm going to Berlin, so I want to be prepared for my lyrics. And I wrote like half of them, and I started a new one for some reason. And now I have 5 unfinished books. I was starting new, and then there is a paper somewhere laying around. It's all over the place, I swear. Oh, yeah. But when it comes to writing down the chords and any melody, I never write them down. I've never in my life written down chords. It's not that I don't know them, of course I do, and if I had to transcribe it, I would. I just don't, because for some reason I link everything I play, even if it's very complicated, I link it to the words. So for me, it's more important to write down the words, to look at them, and I immediately know, oh, okay, that's this and that, and I can play it.
That seems more uniquely you, because I can't imagine, but then again, sometimes maybe you'll rediscover a song and you've maybe completely forgotten the chord progression.
Oh, that's happened too.
But then it takes on a new life as the chords you know at that time.
Yeah.
But amazing that you can remember like most of the stuff. That's super cool. The sticky note thing is cool. I've been thinking about like the Instagram notes thing. It's kind of fun. Like, I feel like as a songwriter, it's so tempting to put cool words in it every day. But then the sounding pretentious is kind of danger there. So
I think that's the thing is like I've been really scared doing anything on Instagram, even just writing this note thing or posting a story, because I just don't want to come across as pretentious or anything.
Yeah.
I think if you're coming to it with a perspective of like, I don't want to seem pretentious, but look at this, immediately you're not pretentious. If it's genuine.
Probably, yeah, because when others do it, it's so interesting. I don't find it pretentious.
Yeah,
but if it comes
like,
to me,
that's a cool thought, and I text them, I'm like, oh, that's really
exactly,
fun.
Yeah. We're so self-critical as humans, especially. The more you're supposed to present your music and intimate thoughts, the more self-critical you get, and that's where I am.
Yeah, we also kind of need it though. It's partially necessary to find some kind of right track.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
I agree. And I actually think that, especially when it comes to self-promotion, like you kind of have to find this perfect balance between, hey guys, I know I'm a newcomer, and hey guys, take me seriously, Mm-hmm. But I think there's either people that don't do it enough and other people that are like, I'm already famous, like this is me and nothing else matters for today. And you kind of have to find the perfect balance. It's really hard sometimes, but yeah.
Yeah, but it seems like you're doing it well already, and we can't wait to have this be shown because we got to listen to it a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
And the snippet will be in.
and the snippet will be
So
there.
you got to listen to
so
a little bit,
you
but
got
just
to
the
listen to
single,
it a
not
little bit.
the full album.
Yeah, the full album is. something
It's
to look
actually a
forward to.
single, the one now.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Do you know when the full album might
Will
come
be
out,
out?
or is it undated?
I don't know when. I think probably like in 3-4 months, but
Okay.
like in summer, I guess, or in September. Depends
Yeah.
on what happens, because many things can happen out of the blue. Who knows?
And I feel like people maybe don't realize, if you're not in actively making music or have been part of that process, you don't realize how long it is, especially for something like an album, which yes is the writing, but there's also production, finding session musicians, instrumentalists, tweaking the writing, tweaking the production, going to mixing, tweaking the mixes, mastering, and then all of the like promotion side of it. So it's like
I feel like a
big
big
project.
part of it is also taking the time to take a distance from it, to then listen to it again, to come in with a fresh view onto it. And I think something that I realized after last summer is I want more time. I think it's awesome if it takes longer than expected, because I would have actually released the song and the album 2022, which would have been horrible, because if I look at it now, they weren't done yet. But I would have, if, like, you know, so now I'm like, okay, I think sometimes it's awesome to take some time, because then you can actually present something that's presentable and that shows the true art. So
What a great. I feel like that kind of wraps up everything.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that was a really good point. And yeah.
Yeah, is there anything you want to promote? Shows upcoming, Strawberry Jam, or anything?
Yeah, Strawberry Jam.
I mean, we have no specific date for a show coming up, but we definitely have shows coming up at some point. We're working on a lot of new stuff at this point, many new songs, even if you've come to one of our 2 shows that we've had so far. And I think everything else will be on Instagram. I'm gonna work on my promotions, so people are gonna know. So yeah.
So yeah, go follow.
Yeah,
Sure.
follow.
If you
It'll be in
want,
the
you don't have to.
description.
If you want, if you
Do
feel
it.
like it.
Yeah.
Do it. Yeah, so thanks so much for coming on.
Thank
and
you, yeah.
We're super stoked to have
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks.